Yo, what's good? I'm making this review very late. Well, I don't know if it's that late actually. It's not. It's 9:20 right now. I literally just got back from seeing 28 Years Later. Now, this was the fan event, and the reason why I went to this fan event was because of this exclusive poster from AMC. And there's another one, a second one, that's going to be coming out when this next one comes out in January, 28 Years Later, Bone Temple. So, yeah, we have the cast here. Ralph Fiennes, 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 Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Jodie Comer. Now, going into this movie, I was a little hesitant because, the trailers, the marketing, everything was fire for this movie. What the? Oh my goodness. Jesus. My fault. Everything seemed fire, like the trailer, the 7, 6, 11, all that was fire. But my thing is, I was worried that this was going to be a long legs situation where like the marketing's really good, but the movie is not as good as the marketing. And then I watched somebody making a review for this movie, and they were comparing it to A Quiet Place Day One. How it was marketed as one thing, but then it ended up being a whole different thing, and that made me a little worried. I'm not gonna lie, because like A Quiet Place Day One is like, it's not a bad movie, but it was definitely a disappointment. So going into this, I was very skeptical because they were saying, oh, it's one thing and then it's gonna shift the plot a little bit, and it did. It was one plot line and then it shifted to a different one. But I will say, I can confidently say, I liked this movie. I really did. I think, did it meet like the hype of like Sinners? No, it's not as good as Sinners, but it is still a solid movie. But this definitely feels like a setup. Like the end of the movie feels like a setup for the future, because it was talking about making a trilogy. So there's another one coming out in January next year. And then after that, I don't know when the third one's supposed to come out, but I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Apparently, it was shot on like iPhone, which was cool. Like some of the, cinematography and the lighting choices and the infected themselves looked really great. One thing that stood out to me was the music, the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack for this movie, it is stellar. Like they even used, the 7, 6, 11, they used that shit in the actual movie, and I thought it just set the mood so beautifully. And there's a lot of like creepy, eerie shots. I wouldn't say this movie's like jump scare heavy, but you definitely feel the threat, of the infected, especially the alphas. So yeah, let's just get into it. I'm not gonna post this until tomorrow, so yeah. But it's about this father and son, mainly the son, named Spike. His dad is trying to like make him tough and prepare for the outside world. They live in like a quarantine little island, and there's another island like the outside world, and his dad wants to prepare Spike for the real world. So they go out, his first little voyage, and at first I feel like most people are gonna assume, oh, they're gonna go to the island. Like the way they made it seem was like they're gonna get stuck there somehow, and they do for a little bit, but they end up getting back, and that's when the plot shifts. So throughout the movie, like Spike, he's like this hopeful kid. He wants to make his dad proud, but at the end of the day, he's just this 12-year-old boy. He doesn't really know much about the outside world, and he's a little bit optimistic, all things considered. And his mom is very sick, and he's trying to find a doctor to see what's wrong with her. So, and his dad has an affair. Aaron Taylor Johnson is his dad. He kind of, he's not a bad guy per se, but he definitely has his moments throughout this movie And he's definitely not a big focal point. He's definitely pushed to the back burner when the second half of the movie, or like the main plot line, starts. Essentially, the main plot line is he takes his mom to the outside to try to find a doctor to see what's wrong with her. And throughout, they encounter a bunch of infected. There's at one point they encounter a Swedish soldier named, I think, Eric or something like that. He was pretty funny. He had some funny moments, but he ends up dying, being irrational. Well, I mean, I guess not irrational, but and his mom is I guess Jodie Comer, and she, you root for her, you root for their relationship. All he wants is to, for his dad to be proud of him, and to see what's wrong with his mom, because he loves her, obviously, and she loves him. So I guess that's where people might get thrown off a little bit, because the way that it was marketed was this action-packed, non-stop, type of thriller. But it's more of, more about death and, what comes with that, and like family drama and all that stuff. So I can see why people might be a little disappointed by the movie, but me personally, I think it was handled very well. And they give us enough action, enough suspenseful moments to keep, at least for me, it kept me engaged. So, yeah, eventually they come across this doctor who's a little, they think, his dad thinks he's crazy, but the doctor's not. He has this like bone shrine of a bunch of dead people, and he comes to the conclusion that Isla, Spike's mom, has cancer. But before that, Isla helps this infected pregnant woman give birth to a baby, and the baby turns out to not be infected, so now they also have a baby. So Spike has a little bit of a breakdown. They have a heart-to-heart, and the doctor goes to peacefully kill the mother, and then Spike takes her skull and puts it on top of the shrine, and takes the baby, returns the baby to the quarantine place, and then goes back to the mainland to, I don't know, I guess he has bigger goals now. Obviously we're gonna get that set up in the next movie, but yeah. Now, at the end of this movie, the biggest shock to me, we see Spike encounter someone, and that someone is fucking Remick, Jack O'Connor. I think that's his name. I really hope that's his name. Hold on one second. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's his name. Jack O'Connell. I said Connor. Jack O'Connell, aka Remick from Sinners, that came out in April. He's in this movie. So like the two most hyped horror movies of the year, this dude is in it. So hey, he's eating good right now, bro. This dude, and looky here, he's playing this like whoever his character is. I think his character's name is Jimmy, and he's a part of this like some cult. He's in some type of cult, and he's the leader, and he helps Spike kill some infected, and then they show that he has an upside down cross, and they're like all in tracksuits, him and everyone that they're with, and they're all blonde with long hair. And he puts out his hand and tells Spike, let's be partners or some shit, and Spike shakes his hand, and that's how the movie ends, bro. That shit, it was so, like, the way that him and his people were killing the infected were so outlandish, and it was so goofy. But just the fact that this dude is in this movie, and he's most definitely gonna be in Bone Temple that's coming out in January. This man, he's doing it all, bro. First fucking Cook from Skins UK, then Remick, the Irish vampire, and then now a fucking cultist leader. This dude, he doesn't know when to stop, I guess. But I'm very excited for the future of this, trilogy. And overall, I enjoyed the movie. I'm definitely gonna see it again. Maybe tomorrow, who knows? But I liked it. I can understand why people might not like it, because it definitely focuses on, like, you know, more character driven stories than, like, horror, you know. But I mean, I just had a good time overall, and my audience, it was a packed, it was 7 p.m. They had a good time as well. They were laughing a lot. They just seemed very invested, and so was I. So there's that. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see what's next for this franchise. The Spike, the kid who plays Spike, he's fucking fantastic, man. He carried this movie on his fucking shoulders, and he did that shit, man. He was fantastic, and I can't wait to see him in Bone Temple. I'm pretty sure, because some people were saying that Bone Temple is going to be like a spin-off, or like, I don't know if it's going to be like part of the trilogy or not. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, they got me seated. They got me sold. I hate that the guy that I watched, he compared this movie to A Quiet Place Day One. I can see the comparison, but like, this is so much better. It's just better. So yeah, man, there's that. The standouts, the soundtrack. Honestly, genuinely, I loved the soundtrack for this movie. It was probably one of my favorite soundtracks of the year, including, the Sinners soundtrack. And I'm looking forward to what's next. So yeah, man, that's it. This has been my review for 28 Years Later. I will be posting this tomorrow. And yeah, I had a good time. I'm the Hero Light Legend, Tyree Figueroa, signing out. Peace.